Hello everybody, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, my name is Jess Tatham and I use this channel as a way to track my eating disorder recovery journey and show you a bit of an insight into my life. So if you haven't yet, make sure you hit that subscribe button, like this video, and don't forget to follow me at Jess Tatham to stay up to date with my daily life as well. I upload on there quite a bit. So today's video is going to be a little bit different to what I normally do because I'm actually going to be doing a book review. So obviously through recovery, I have been chilling out a lot, and also through COVID lockdown, I've been chilling out a lot, and I sort of got sick of watching TV, so I picked up a whole heap of books and started reading them. Some are recovery focused and some are just general, fun, interesting self-help books, and then some are just good old fiction books. So I just thought I'd share with you some really good reads. I have actually loved all the books I've read, which is sort of very rare for me. I'm quite picky, but yeah. So let's get into chatting about all of these books. So I'm going to start with chatting about some eating disorder recovery books that I have read that have been really, really good. There is only two of them specifically, and one of them I actually, hello Bo, got my little puppy here, so he's snorting down here. The first one I don't actually have with me, and it is this one here. I'll put a picture in here. Now, this book is the first one that I read out of everything here, and it was the first book that I got to sort of start my understanding of feeding your body properly, healing your body properly, intuitive eating, and sort of coming back to terms with fueling my body correctly, basically. It is a very good book if you're wanting to understand intuitive eating and fueling your body correctly, as I literally just said, without a lot of confusing sort of scientific doctory words. The author does a really, really good job at sort of balancing the scientific medical terms with really easy, understandable, everyday jargon that makes it an actual enjoyable read and not like a really, really boring book. I was concerned that with all these recovery books that I was ordering, that it was just going to be a bunch of medical knowledge and I was going to be like, excuse me, what? But no, it actually made me feel really empowered and really made me see how important it is not to restrict and sort of eat intuitively and reduce a lot of food stress, and also help me understand more how awful diet culture is and how ingrained it is. And I didn't know like how ingrained I was in diet culture just through how I was exposed to it. So it was very, very interesting to see that. So I highly recommend this book, especially if you're just starting out reading about diet culture, eating disorders, disordered eating, restrictive eating, anything to do with that, self-love. This is a great book and I couldn't recommend it more. Literally the reason I don't have it right now is because I've lent it to my sister. So the next book is this one, and it is Body Respect. Now, this was actually a book that my dietitian recommended to me within, like, I think it's like my first or second appointment with her. And it's Body Respect by Linda Bacon and Lucy Aparamore. I don't know how to say it. Anyway, this is quite similar to the first book, but this one is a little bit more in-depth in like the medical language. So yeah, it's just quite a different read. It's a lot shorter than the other one, but it is written sort of in a different format, and obviously it's written by these two ladies here. So it's what conventional health books get wrong, leave out, and just plain fail to understand about weight. So this is more focused on weight itself, and it talks about diet culture and obesity and disordered eating and how we've been made to think a certain way that is purely not true, and how our bodies thrive and everything. So again, really interesting read, really, really highly recommend it. It's just a little bit more, like medical terminology than the first book. So next is some self-help books. Now, I love self-help books. I've read them for a very, very long time, and especially at the moment when I'm sort of trying to heal my mind and body, they've been nice and empowering to read. So the first one I've got here is To Hell with the Hustle. Now, I have seen this book a lot online. I watched Natalie Barbu and Michelle Reed read, and they've both spoken about this book. So I just had to get my hands on it, and it was such an interesting read. So it's To Hell with the Hustle, Reclaiming Your Life in an Overworked, Overspent, and Overconnected World. So it's by Jefferson Bethick. I'm not too sure how to pronounce his last name, but basically quit the cycle of more, question the noise all around us, set boundaries and cultivate discipline, push back the demands of contemporary life, and rediscover the fundamentals that make us human. So it's just a really nice reminder of how important it is to step back and take time for ourselves. As someone who is very goal-oriented and is always quite switched on, I'm always working, it was nice to read a book that validates taking a step back in a world where we're made to think that we can't. And yeah, it was just really empowering. And he just does a really, really good job at showing how he implements his tips in his life, which is really nice to see. So I highly recommend this one. If you're feeling really overworked and looking for sort of inspiration to take a step back, learn to say no, and really sort of stay in tune with what you want and stop working for what others want. So next in the self-help is this one by Vex King, and it is Good Vibes, Good Life, How Self-Love is the Key to Unlocking Your Greatness. Now, this is such a good book. It's a really good mix for like body image, recovery, self-empowerment, but also like mindfulness, meditation, motivation. So it's sort of like, this is a great all-rounder self-help book. Vex King really covers so many different topics in here that, yeah, I found it really, really interesting. So be the best version of you that you can be. How can you learn to truly love yourself? How can you transform negative emotions into positive ones? Is it possible to find lasting happiness? So in this book, they talk about self-care, positive lifestyle habits, overcoming fear, flowing with the universe, manifesting goals, and everything like that. So it's quite a mixed one, but I found it really comforting and really inspiring. I sort of like those in touch with the universe books and that manifestation and like seeing the future you want, working towards it and putting stuff in place, but also learning to love yourself and accept you for who you are, past others' opinions and everything. So yeah, this was a really nice, wholesome read that I really enjoyed. Next up in the self-help category is this one. Now, this is another one that I've seen a lot online. Elena Tabor, there she is. A great YouTuber, and I know she's recommended this book, and I had it on my like to buy list for a while, so I finally got it. And if you are in your 20s, I cannot recommend this book enough. I read it so quickly that it literally doesn't even look read because I literally like smashed through it. I didn't even like bend the book or anything. It is from psychologist Meg J, Why Your 20s Matter and How to Make the Most of Them. And she uses real in-session experience with her 20-something clients to sort of take you through what's important and what's not important in your 20s and why you should commit to certain things and why you shouldn't do certain things. And it's just a really interesting insight from someone who is a professional in the mind and understands people. Yeah, it's really interesting. So I'll just read you like the little blurb on the back. So it says, contemporary culture tells us that 20-something years don't matter. Clinical psychologist Dr. Meg J argues that this could be not further from the truth. In fact, your 20s are the most defining decade of adulthood. The defining decade weaves the latest science of the 20-something years with real-life stories to show us how work, relationships, personality, social networks, identity, and even the brain can change more during this decade than any other time in adulthood. So when I first started reading this, I was scared that it was going to stress me out more because I was looking to sort of be comforted, and I didn't want to be told that during the COVID-19 lockdown that I was wasting my 20s, but it wasn't the case at all. It was very empowering and just made me sort of feel that as someone in her 20s, that I can achieve what I want to. A lot of the time people in their 20s, and I've definitely felt it. I mean, I'm first year out of uni and I still feel very inexperienced. I feel like I don't know enough. I second guess myself. But if anything, this book shows you that you are powerful and that you can follow what you want to do. So yeah, this was such a good one. If you're in your 20s, this is literally an essential read. Couldn't recommend it more. So now we're going to move on to some fiction books that I have really enjoyed. So the first book that I have here is Such a Fun Age. Now this book has been so popular at the moment. I've seen it everywhere, and I just randomly picked it up one day because I liked the front cover of it, and then the blurb sounded so interesting. And then the book itself was literally such a good read. Oh my gosh. So this is a very topical book, and it gives an insight into white privilege and how there is that sort of systematic racism in our society and how it's sort of ingrained in society. And it is about, I'll read you like the blurb here because it's sort of a hard book to explain without reading you the blurb. So when Amira is apprehended at a supermarket for kidnapping the white child she's actually babysitting, it sets off an explosive chain of events. Her employer, Alex, a feminist blogger with the best of intentions, resolves to make things right. But Amira herself is aimless, broke, and wary of Alex's desire to help. When a surprising connection emerges between the two women, it sends them on a crash course that will upend everything they think they know about themselves, each other, and the messy dynamics of privilege. So the way that this book goes, one chapter is Amira's point of view and one chapter is Alex's point of view. And yeah, it is just such a good read. It's got friendships, it's got family, it's got love, it's got a really good insight into white privilege and systematic racism and how that's in our society. So very good read if you want a new book to read. This one by Carly Reid. Carly Reid. I didn't realize that. I learned a lot about sort of my own privilege and everything by reading this as well. So it was very, very eye-opening and very topical for right now. So next up in our fiction is this one. So Sally Rooney obviously wrote Normal People, which I have the book of and is going to be my next read. But I did binge the TV series, obviously. But I heard a lot about Conversations with Friends and I was like, oh, that sounds like a very good book. So I grabbed it and I thought I'd read it before I read Normal People, just to sort of get a fresh taste into Sally Rooney's writing before I read a book that I already knew the storyline of. And this was such a unexpected read, and it was like really, really good read. 4 very complex and unique characters that the whole book's set around. And the lead character, Frances, is a very intriguing character and carries this book so well. I think it's a very good insight into 20, 30-year-old age group relationships, that both being friendships and like romantic relationships, and sort of the dynamics between female and male friends, and also an insight into finding your way as a, like Frances, the lead character, like being in her early 20s, finding her way in the world and dealing with friendship drama, relationship drama, and family drama as well. This book, it's not that it twists and turns, but for me, the story just sort of really drew me in and I didn't expect it to go where it did. So this is a fantastic book. It's got funny parts, it's got sad parts, interesting the whole way through. This is such a good book. I'll read you a bit of the blurb here. So Frances is 21 years old, cool-headed and observant, a student in Dublin and an aspiring writer. At night she performs spoken word with her best friend Bobby, who used to be her girlfriend. When they're interviewed and then befriended by Melissa, a well-known journalist who is married to Nick, an actor, they enter a world of beautiful houses, dinner parties and holidays in Brittany, beginning a complex menage a trois? I don't know. But when Frances and Nick get unexpectedly closer, the sharply witty and emotion-adverse Frances is forced to honestly confront her own vulnerabilities for the first time. Honestly, the blurb does not give it justice. The book is so much more than that, and it was a very good reflection on modern relationships and motivations and life. So Conversations with Friends by Sally Rooney. Very insightful and good read. And finally, we have got the book that I am just about finished. So I wanted to include it in here because I haven't read it for a couple days because I've been super, super busy, but I'm almost finished. So I'm like, I've pretty much read it. And it is Yes So Maybe So by Becky Albertalli and Aisha Saeed. So this book is just like a young adult book. See, I'm literally so close to being finished. And it was like on clearance at Target or something when I went. So I grabbed it. I saw it a couple weeks ago and I was like, oh, this looks interesting. So I just grabbed it when I saw it. And this is just a really light, wholesome book, honestly. Like if you're just looking for a really easy read that is still interesting and yeah, wholesome, read this one. It has a lot of information in it though. Like what I like about it is just like a young adult read, but it's got more to it. The premise of the book is set that these two do canvassing together for a political campaign. So there's a lot of information there about politics and how sort of an insane system it is and how biased it is, but also there's a lot of discussion on racism and classism and privilege and everything like that. So it's got a lot of layers to it, which I did not expect at all, but it's been a really enjoyable read and it's just cute with like a young high school couple. So again, I will read you a bit of the blurb here. Maya and Jamie are the main characters. But going door to door isn't exactly how they imagine spending their summers, but as the polls grow closer, so do Jamie and Maya. Mastering local activism is one thing, navigating a cross-cultural romance is a whole lot more complicated. So yeah, it's really good. It's not just your run-of-the-mill YA book. It's definitely got a lot of heart to it, but also a lot of interest with it, with different races, different classes, privileged politics, and everything like that. So yeah, that is Yes, No, Maybe So. Recommend that just as like a light little read. You don't have to think too much when you're reading it, but it's a good one. So yeah, that is all my books that I've smashed through over the past month and a bit. I literally have been reading so much. It's been kind of insane, but really enjoyable to reconnect with reading. I used to be such a like non-stop reader when I was younger, and then as I got older and got busy, I sort of stopped reading. So it's really nice to be back and pick up all of these books again and read away. So I'd love to know what your guys' book recommendations are. So pop them in the comments below so I can read them and then hopefully do like another book recommendations. And if you've read any of these books or are going to read any of these books, let me know because I want to chat about them and see what you thought of them because I loved everything here. So let me know if you did as well or if you didn't and we can chat about it. Yeah, thank you so much for watching. I know this was a bit of a different video for my channel, but I thought it would be nice to show you guys a different side of my life, and that's my love for reading and sort of give you an insight to what I have been reading. Don't forget to like this video if you liked it, subscribe to this channel if you want to see more, and follow me at Just Tatham to stay up to date with my daily life. And I've got to go now because I have got to finish this book and keep on reading another one. So I'll speak to you in the next video. Bye guys.